Right at it. Right at it. Oh,
Jordan
he's
Spieth.
done it again. Just as he did at the John Deere for his first win.
Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Go Get That podcast. This is episode 70. Past the threshold of 69. We are on to a double episode this week, thanks to the Monday finish, thanks to Mr. Rose's victory and complaints. We have a 2-1 episode for you all. That was not meant to be a shot at Mr. Rose, as I am very happy to see him take home the trophy this weekend. But yeah, it's definitely a lot to recap. I feel like lot to talk about. I know me, Jordan, and Dan, we have our own Spieth chat, and we were ranting yesterday because that's what we do every few months when we're disappointed with his play. But there's a lot to talk about. A lot of where the positives at, where the negatives at, and then obviously, I think we went 0 for 12 last week in bets. No,
Mr. Power.
I had one.
Mr. Power. Congratulations, Dan. The leaderboard is now.
I'm in second still. I gained some.
Well,
some
unfortunately,
ground over you.
hopefully you have all not been tailing because we're all in the red right now, but it's early. 3 ladders ready to
Still
go.
early.
Jordan is $15 down. Dan is $159 down. Points, not dollars.
Well, yeah. Given that we play 100 points a week, that's not bad.
Yeah.
Well,
But I
it's not
expect us all to be up at the end. Well, me at least. And then
You're in last, so I don't.
$264.
You talk a lot of
points
game.
down. So, but I
Sometimes
have
you gotta-
I have a guaranteed winner this week, and last time I had a guaranteed winner, it hit. So I'm 1 for 1 on guaranteed Blute winners, which is good. That's a good thing.
The Blute guarantee.
The Blute guarantee,
It's
which is good.
100%.
We're 1 for 1 so far, but maybe we need to make everything guaranteed winners, but then they wouldn't be special. So, but we'll have more picks for you this week. Again,
Yeah.
I have a guaranteed winner, which would be nice. And then we will preview the Waste Management Open, my models, of course, Dan's deep dive in stats, and then whatever Jordan does.
Jordan
Thank
deep
you,
dives
on
in
to the
stats.
conversation.
Mr. Last Place Models, thanks.
Ooh.
Yeah, we'll start at Pebble. I forgot who said this after Rose won. Someone in our chat. I don't remember who said it, but Justin, when I think of like every European dude that's in like their late 30s to 40s, I feel like all of them went to live. So a shout out to Justin Rose on the win, and not going to live.
Correct.
I guarantee he probably got an offer to go.
No,
Oh,
yeah.
for sure.
Definitely
For
turned
sure.
it down.
I'm sure he was offered a hefty contract from the Majestics.
What about the
old
Niblets?
European dude team.
Yeah.
You can get their merch, I'm sure, somewhere on the Live website.
Oh, Lord. But shout out to Team Rose. Besides him being the one to delay play, he played some great golf. I know
No,
it
he
wasn't
was-
a great field, but I mean, like it was a blowout at the end.
Yeah.
I would just like to say this before. I know I made that joke at the start of the thing. There was very little coverage besides the feature groups on Monterey, and that's what he was playing. Like, I don't really know what the situation was there, so I'm not gonna hate him. I mean, I remember like Paul Casey. I used to give a lot of crap for calling that in 2019. Remember when it was too dark and they only had 1 hole left, but it really wasn't that dark. And then it was him and Phil, I think. But like if his ball was like oscillating on the green, like there's nothing he can do about that. Like I'm not here to give him crap for that if it was a legit reason. I don't know what happened, so I'm not gonna sit here and complain. If he had a legit reason, then that's fine. Clearly.
Right. It's
Clearly,
one thing.
the good luck was on his side as he went out to win, but yeah.
It's one thing to complain and then play like crap, right?
Yeah,
But
for sure.
he
There's something
complained and
to
then
that.
blew out the field on Sunday. I am a little disappointed because in my early research of Pebble, I was on Mr. Rose, and I know easy to say in hindsight, but he had been quietly playing some pretty good golf. The putter had been playing well. He fit the trend that every winner at Pebble has had a top 6 in the last 3 years, the last 3 appearances at the tournament. So I thought about playing Mr. Rose. and I'm disappointed I did not. But good for him. First one in 4 years. He's one of those guys that I think of kind of in like the Gary Woodland department who just 2019, like they just fell off a cliff, and we haven't talked about him really since. And it's good to see him grab another win. Do I think this kickstarts like a rampant run, rampage for Mr. Rose? No, but it's a good win to have, and he should be at East Lake again, which is cool. And good start to the season for him.
Yeah. I mean, he again, a little bit of fortune that Mr. Spieth did not have with the draws and the delays and everything. But in saying that, Mr. Spieth was not going to come close to winning anyway, had he been in the good wave draw, whatever you want to call it. Disappointing performance. Again, we're starting to say that a few times. Friend of the podcast, Ryan, told us that Jordan Spieth is not top 5 / been in deep Sunday contention since the Byron Nelson, which is, I mean, it just screams, hey, I'm not an elite golfer. And that's obviously fine. But at the same time, T63ing at Pebble Beach is not necessarily fine. I think there were some, I mean, he got screwed by the weather, which I think makes a double on 9. It's a hard hole, but like, does he make double if it's not bad weather? Probably not. I think it's bogey at worst on that type of hole. He made the double on 14 where he hit driver off the deck, another shot that he doesn't hit if he's, in contention. But at the same time, the poor wedge play continued. The putter, I guess, took a step back from where it was in Hawaii. The short game was not great. The short game selection of shot to play was not great. There weren't a ton of positives leaving Pebble Beach, which definitely causes some concern.
Yeah. Bob, Mr. Model, you talked about it, right? The number one thing, like the number one stat that correlates to success at Pebble is wedge play from 50 to 125. We mentioned that Mr. Spieth has not been doing that quite well for the past year or so, and it translated. I mean, how many wedge shots did we see end up, within a couple feet? Very few. There was a lot of 25 footers, 35 footers that are losing strokes on the field from 85 yards in the middle of the fairway because he drove it great. He gave himself plenty of wedge chances. And honestly, I thought, even though the putter wasn't very good, I thought it bailed him out a couple times in terms of making a 15-footer or so after a mediocre at best wedge shot. So it could have been a better week, but also could have been a miscut pretty easily, which is not, what you want to hear from Jordan Spieth, Mr. AT&T at the AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am.
In essence, it was a miscut. And like my point of view, because he didn't get anything out of the 4th round. I mean, a T63
a solid 34 on the front, little momentum for Phoenix.
Yeah, it could translate. I mean, that's very fair. He came out, played decent on Monday, but
the 34 on the front is a even par 1 over round any other golf course. So,
and he made the 2 birdies on Sunday evening, and he played the last 5 holes.
Hey, he made the 2-footer on 4 Dan.
That's true. He did make. He was good inside of 6 feet, 7 feet this week. So
I will give Mr. Spieth credit. He did not miss any putts inside of 2 feet. Nothing in the
inside
inches.
Of 5.
He
didn't miss anything inside of 5 feet.
Inside of 5.
True, but have to give credit where credit's due.
Missed a 6-footer, but we'll
appreciate that. We'll pick and choose the stats where we like.
Of course we will. Of course we will.
That's what everybody does.
Yeah, my overall thoughts are a lot of negatives, man. Like, I've been pretty positive thus far this season, considering how I usually am. I usually am into his grill, but this season I've been pretty positive with what I've seen, and I'm just not. We're just not getting anywhere. He had 1 round at the Sony, which is nice. I don't even remember that round very well. I don't remember how he shot the score he did. All I remember was the 9th hole and how he made a mess of the par 5 that should have easily been 6 under. But yeah, I don't I don't know where this is going. I don't know where the swing really is right now. He was changing tempo all week mid round.
Yeah.
Putters, just he's not making the putts he needs to make. It's not disastrous. He's not missing every putt. He's making a lot more 12 to 15 footers, or I'd say 8 to 15 footers than he usually has been in recent years.
And he's cleaning up better
But
than obviously last year.
he hasn't made a 25 plus footer in months, and
It feels that way.
inside of 6 feet is still a problem. So I want to say I want to see how the next few weeks come, but I mean these next few weeks, there's just not much course history there to give us much of something to get excited about. I mean, Pebble is the event, we're like just get us through Sony, get us through Kapalua. Pebble an event, and I'll make it very clear. I'm not oblivious to the fact that every single time there was a stoppage, it hurt Jordan Spieth in a negative way, but that doesn't change the fact that it would have helped him almost none with the way he was hitting the ball.
Yeah.
Like, like his miss green up and down would have been a 40 footer and a 2-putt. Like the way he was playing, it was still really not great golf shots. And there's just not a lot there coming up in the next few weeks. Like he's had his spurts at the Waste Management. He was in contention there a few years ago. Obviously it started the comeback. He had that 61, but like, I mean, this is one of the highest. He's missed cut here a few times, and I mean, you cannot go into Riviera with a mediocre game and expect to be able to BS your way around that golf course. So, the next 2 weeks are some of the highest driving accuracy weeks that there are. You need to be able to hit the fairway. One, because Riviera is just really tough from the rough, and I mean, if you're driving offline at the Waste Management, you can be behind a cactus. So it's just there's two very different tournaments, and there's just not much course history there to like. Jordan Spieth can play and contend at Pebble Beach with a C game, and he can't do that at these next few events, which is disappointing. But it's also like, all right, maybe this will be the wake up call he needs, because I mean, Pebble, Augusta, and Colonial every year should be at least 2 top 10s with the way he plays those golf courses, if not at least a top 10 and a top 20. And his last 3 performances there is a T63, a T6 when he wasn't even in contention at all. He just found a way to be T6 because everyone struggled coming home. And then a missed cut at the Masters. So those 3 tournaments, the ones we always look to, that's what concerns me the most out of anything. It's not even the stats. I mean, even during his slump, he would do something at the Colonial or the Masters, or I just don't know what's going on. I want to see. I just want to keep seeing him progressing, but I don't really know how to evaluate where he's at right now.
Yeah. Well, there's not. I mean, your eyes are not lying to you. There's not a whole lot of good golf being played. I'd say I say that, and then obviously the 64 at Sony to open, and then the first 2 rounds at Kapalua to open. So clearly the ceiling is still quite high, but Jordan and I were talking about this the other day. The floor is really low right now. Like Mr. Spieth is very capable of playing a very, very poor round of golf. And that is obviously that is just bad for what it is. If there's any sort of positive light, I thought he drove the ball really, really well at Pebble. Obviously, everybody has a couple wayward balls, but for the most part, he was hitting in the fairway. And I
would say he drove the ball well at Spyglass and Monterey. He did not have the best 3 and 4 from what I remember. And I have not looked at any of the stats from Pebble. I will be honest, I sort of threw that out the window, but I did watch both of the rounds.
Yeah.
I think the driver sort of started to leak towards the end of the week, which again is fine. Like
I don't think the wind helped.
If he can have 2 rounds a week where he hits 10 plus fairways, I think I'd take that for the rest of his career.
No, of course. And I think it's emphasized, like it's more clear that his iron game, mostly the wedges, is not good because he hit good fairways. Like he hit fairways this week. I know he didn't drive a great Saturday or Sunday, but it wasn't bad. It was certainly like doable and contendable with the way he drove it.
Let's
Thought
not
the
ignore the
Loki-
wind here. I mean, like, I don't
Yeah.
know what everyone else was doing off the tee, but with how windy it was, I can't imagine everyone was finding fairways. They just weren't hitting it out of bounds. They weren't hitting it into ditches and taking penalty strokes. They were just keeping it in play,
Yeah.
which Mr. Spieth did
All
not.
right. Speaking of hitting it out of bounds, I'm really discouraged by these just mental collapses when it comes to decisions on the golf course. Like, I saw people calling out Greller all weekend, and I'm not ready to say that Greller needs to be fired because Spieth is the one hitting the bad golf shots. But I mean, you think back to Congaree. I mean, that missed 2-footer, all the missed like 1-footers he's had throughout these last 2 years, just purely by being mental mistakes. I mean, on an unreachable par 5, taking driver off the deck in the fairway in the wind. I mean, what is he doing?
He was out of it. I mean, like, again,
but that doesn't that doesn't make it any better. in
I
my
understand
opinion,
that, but like, if he's
is
in
my take.
if he's in the tournament, he doesn't hit the shot.
Yeah, he's
I
not.
understand.
But that doesn't
But
that also makes me more upset at this
If
point.
he makes
I-
par
I'm-
there, he finishes what, T50 instead of T63.
But it's more the fact that he's making those decisions in general, even when he's out of it.
I
Like,
think it's just
I don't I'm. It's one thing if he's trying to work on something, but I'm sort of getting sick of the all right. I'm T41. Let's just go make reckless decisions for the rest of the tournament. Like,
yeah,
that's
but
just,
I think that's just one example of him making bad decisions. Like the chip at 4 on Spyglass
Yeah,
on
the
Thursday
short game shots are the
was the
more-
dumbest decision I've ever seen in my life. Not true, but like you get the point. I'm trying to think. There were other short game shots recently that have been played that you're like,
But-
what are you doing? And
but
it's like,
I see. Here's my difference between those two decisions right there. The short game shot. I'm not going to use that one. I'm going to use the one on 8. Where it was into
Yeah,
the wind.
same
I'm going to
thing.
use that one because that was the worst shot game shot I saw. I don't know which one you're talking about. I remember it, but I don't remember watching it, so I forget exactly what he did. But the one on 8, that's what I'm going to use. My difference between those two bad decisions is the one on 8, that's just a bad shot selection where maybe it could have worked if he had pulled it off better. It still didn't make sense. But the driver off the deck, when you can't reach the green anyway, there's no possible way that you gain any advantage out of it.
you're getting 30 yards closer to the green.
I think it's more also, Bob, he's still in the tournament when he was hitting that shot on 8.
Yeah. He's not pulling driver if he's in it.
Yeah. He's probably hitting that short game shot regardless of where he is.
I
And
just
it's still dumb, but it isn't like, I don't know. It just didn't.
I think you don't see those type of decisions being made when John Rahm's out of the golf tournament.
Because
Are
he's
you
never
watching
out of a
John?
golf
Yeah,
tournament.
exactly. John Rahm's just way better than Jordan.
But
Spieth.
you know what I'm saying.
and that
You know what I'm
by the
saying.
way, I think is the biggest thing. Jordan Spieth ain't that dude anymore. And people need to realize, like, he's not. He's a 25th best player in the world. Maybe.
Actually, according to Data Golf, he's 40th.
Yeah, like
Just-
worse.
he's slightly above
Statistically.
average probably right now.
Like he's.
I will defend him in this part. He's not that dude right now.
He could get
Right.
back there. 100%.
He could absolutely get back.
100%.
Oh, for
He has-
sure.
He
I'm
has
not
the
saying
talent
that.
to have the career path of Rory, where he has these like 6 years where he does nothing and then becomes unstoppable
But
in
even-
3 years.
even,
Maybe
like,
that happens.
Even
but-
Rory's 6 years though were productive. And to
Yeah.
be fair, we're seeing the last 2 years. 21, he should have won a lot more. But last year he showed up 3 times and he got a win, right? And that's
Yeah.
what 20th, 15th best player in the world do. But he's not.
And that's what I'd like to see Spieth do until he gets back to that form. But
that's hard.
I still think there's a lot to need to be said. I'm done with the excuses. There are too many decisions on the golf course that he's making that it just I hate when people try and say stuff in my comments about oh well, I could hit a better shot than that or whatever. Like of course you could in a million tries. Like who cares? You're a 20 handicap. But when Jordan Spieth does things, and I know it's easy to say from the couch, but when he does things that's so clear and obvious that it was the wrong decision from your own couch, like
It's
that's
annoying. It's
it's
annoying.
very annoying because that shot on 8, purely by making a better decision, one of us 3 at least could have got it closer than that. Purely just by
Oh, I
making a better
mean,
decision.
it really hurt because I mean we're playing with Ryan Palmer and Brian Roberts, and I mean Palmer hits the smart shot to 5 feet and makes par. I mean, literally, he had a very very similar shot to Spieth right after that. Spieth plays his big flop to 20 feet, which made absolutely zero sense. Palmer just he hits it on, it's the downslope, runs out to 5 feet, and he makes the putt. And then
Yeah.
Spieth, does what the stupid flop. I mean, it's either the flop instead of the little chip, or it's the putter from off the green when he should be chipping. Like, it's the same stuff. Like, I'm sure we'll see it at Waste Management this week. I mean, he does it. I don't know why. And that's like the one thing, like, first of all, Greller is, I mean, we had a commenter on Twitter say Greller is the one that gives him the clubs. That is a stupid thing to say, number one. But just in defense of some of the people that are like anti-Greller, Greller can, at the very least, I don't know if he always does, he can come in and say, you should play the shot this way. I don't know if there's a
Yeah.
boundary when it comes to short game shots because Jordan's
yeah.
got one of the best short games of all time. But if there is one argument to make for not getting rid of Greller, that's just stupid. But things Greller can do, that's a fair one I think you can make.
Right. And I think with short game, especially, like, he's not going to step in there and say, don't play a mega flop, because that's like, Spieth just does those things. And I think there is something to momentum, right? And Spieth just didn't play that well this week. So everything just didn't come off the way it sort of was supposed to. But I think it just goes back to the point that the floor is really low. Like, he can play some really bad golf, and it's
Yeah.
aided by some bad decisions. And that's somewhat discouraging.
Yeah, and
because each week it's gotten worse this year,
yeah,
right?
and two things I want to mention on that case is, one, you look back at his 2021, which was one of the better years of his career, not including like the tournament like wins he produced out of it.
Probably his 4th best year.
Probably, yeah.
Like, including wins and just like statistical
yeah,
stuff.
probably 2015, 2016,
15, 16,
2017
17,
are the
and
only
then
3 that,
21.
Yeah.
14 is right up there with it, just looking, but
yeah,
yes.
but I mean, then again, I still think you look at that and he was never really out of a golf tournament. Like, he was just, even on his bad weeks, like his bad weeks were T24s.
Yeah.
Like,
and
that's not what this is now. And
he ripped off like top
but
5.
then again, well, and actually I want to bring this other point up first before I go into that, is I'm going to play devil's advocate in terms of what we've been talking about as bad decisions. There is something to be said about momentum, because there's a lot of decisions that Jordan Spieth has made in the past that may have been bad decisions that have turned out to be some of the things that make what
Right.
Jordan Spieth is today.
Yeah.
Like, I don't really remember, but you remember that crazy flop shot he made a few weeks ago from like just off the fringe?
God.
Like, was that really the best? I mean, it might have been. I don't know how severe the downslope was, but was that really the best decision to make there? But it was a high like real shot, right?
Yeah.
Like, who knows? There's a devil's advocate side to that, correct?
And, yeah.
So,
And
yeah,
to be
fair,
to be fair, like, the hitting those shots like, it's momentum, to your point, right? If he's playing well, and it's one thing to hit the bad shots when he's not playing well. Like, you'd almost rather have him hit those bad shots when he's not playing well, so that they come off well when it matters, if he's going to go that route. That's what I was trying to say from the start. But like, if he's in contention and he hits a flop, you want him to hit it well, obviously. But if he's not in contention at Pebble, all right, fine, hit your flop 20 feet, even though it sucks. But it's like law of averages in theory, kind of to Bob's point, devil's advocate point, is like,
Yeah,
it'll work out better.
but then again, I did want to bring up this point, because this is something that I always go back to, because we all get on Jordan's case because we are such big fans and we're such big golf fans, and we could do this about any golfer if we watched them enough. We just watch so much Jordan Spieth golf that we pick up all the goods, all the bads.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
this is nothing against him. Like, it's just like we want to watch good golf. Same as it, and it's tough because this is one of the hardest sports to be a fan of, just because of the fact that like people are like, oh, you're too hard on Jordan, when this would be a very different situation if we were doing a podcast on, say, I'm just use Jordan's hat, the Miami Marlins. If we were a Miami Marlins fan podcast, it's a lot easier to
It'd be depressing.
true, but it would be a lot easier to talk crap about a team than as a player, because there's only one person. He's obviously not watching this, most likely, but this isn't something that we want him to look at and be like, oh, these guys aren't really fans and stuff like that.
He wouldn't give a crap anyway, but
he wouldn't.
yeah.
And it's tough to know that while also saying all this stuff, but it's a really hard sport to be a fan of, because you are a very good golfer if you win 1 out of every 25 times. That's what DJ made a career out of, is winning once a year, maybe twice. And that is what a good golfer is. Like, you're very rarely satisfied. And that's what makes little wins such as the Valero Texas Open, which is a tournament that's not that high on the rankings, so meaningful. And so, I mean, it brings you weeks of enjoyment if you're as big of fans as us. And every week is not quite enough until you get there. Like, this isn't the regular season of a football where you win a big game. It's not the Super Bowl, but you're still super excited. It's very hard to get excited about a top 10, because it's either you had a bad start to the week and you got there, or you let it go on Sunday. Like, it's very hard to get excited about those high finishes, like it is to get excited about a regular season win in either sport. So it's tough to compare sports, but it's a very tough sport to be a fan of. There's very little satisfaction, just like tennis. Because I watched the documentary that they just came out with. One of the players was talking about how tennis brings such little satisfaction because it's so only one person wins every week. There isn't 16 winners or 15 winners like there are in other sports every week. So it's tough, man, but that's what makes the win so good. That's what makes them so exciting. It's what gives you that feeling on a Sunday morning before a final round where you have a chance. And I just want to see that a few times this year. And I really want to get a win. So the thing that's really frustrating is I don't really see where that is. I don't see a win in the next few weeks. I feel like we are weeks of progress away from a win is really where I'm coming from.
Well, while that's fair, I would also argue that last year after the Masters, you could argue the same thing.
Absolutely. And I'm not doubting that at all. That was
and
one of the weirdest.
Yeah, that really was.
It was so weird because someone came in here. We did like a question for the pod, and someone said, and I said I'd give away a putter if he won. Yeah. Like, I got so confident we were he wouldn't win, and I was $400 out because I had to send someone a brand new Scotty Cameron. Like, it was such a weird win.
Right. And I think to that point, I think Spieth trends differently than other guys, and that's kind of, why we enjoy watching him play, is that his, like, statistically, you could see it a little bit. Like, the ball striking numbers were really good at Valero. He just made absolutely 0 putts that week, and obviously threw away a lot of strokes. And then obviously the Masters was really bad, but it was mostly just on 12, where I think he lost like three shots on the field by hitting it into the water twice again. And then he bounced back the next week, leads the field in strokes gained, tee to green, can't buy a putt, but wins. Same thing at the Craig Ranch. So it's like, once he gets going, he'll get going. And the last 2 years 21 was a little bit different, but last year, like, he'll pop at some points. And obviously you'd bet that Pebble would be a spot he'd pop at, and he didn't. But like, I don't know. I wouldn't be like overly surprised if he was somewhat in contention this week.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'd fully
I wouldn't bet
agree.
on it, but
He's I think again, he wasn't going to win at Pebble, but the weather played a factor. I think he's obviously not fully confident with where things are, and when you throw in 20, 30 mile per hour winds, you're just, I mean, and that's how he is. If there's something for him to think about outside of the swing, and then he's always thinking about the swing. So when you add an extra element, I mean, that's just not good for Jordan Spieth. It's not going to be windy in Scottsdale this week, so I think we'll get a good, firm look at where everything is. And he's been playing like, I mean, a miscut T63, not good, but there's been some good shots sprinkled in.
yeah.
He played that stretch at Monterey, like the last 3 holes, he hit 3 consecutive mid to long irons to like 15 feet. Like, that's not easy. And the mid to long irons, I think, in these 3 events so far in 2023 have been, pretty good compared to where they were in 2022. The problem is Jordan Spieth is not a good wedge player at all. And we were talking about this. I mean, just going over to our friends at Data Golf, he is in the last 12 months from 50 to 100 yards. Strokes gained per shot, he is in the 47th percentile. The 47th percentile. There are 53% of the tour is better than Jordan Spieth from 50 to 100 yards.
I
And
guarantee you, in 2015, he was in the 1st or 2nd percentile.
Yeah, but
Like-
that's like we talked to Elise quite a bit. I was telling Elise this. Jordan Spieth is not going to win with those wedge numbers because he's not good enough in other facets of the game.
And another thing is, like, we look back on that Heritage win, and it was so weird because it was still just a very different game than it is now. Like, he is most likely never going to win another tour event in which he putts like he did at Heritage. There might not be another tour win ever that has those type of putting numbers that wins.
It's rare.
And again, Jordan was talking about this, like, it evens out because he probably should have won at the one of either Ranch or Pebble last year. But then again, like, he's not going to perform at Ranch this year if he's wedging it like he is right now. In fact, he could miss the cut at like -5 because you have to make a ridiculous amount of birdies with those wedges. And I know we need to get into the waste management stuff, but this week had me thinking. I was really positive after Sony. I was really positive after Kapalua. I'm still don't know where I'm at with the putter yet, but he's going to need to learn. The thing that keeps getting me upset about the putter is like the bad historical putters. And I like to go back to this Keegan Bradley because he's someone who I really like just in general. Keegan Bradley always finds lightning in a bottle with the putter 2 times a year. That's just how he makes his living. And that's not who we want Jordan Spieth to be. But Jordan Spieth hasn't had a putting week like that in a very long time. Like, he has not just gotten hot with the putter for 4 rounds in the past 3 years, besides I'd say the President's Cup.
Memorial last year.
Memorial, he putted really well, and then of course the swing fell apart.
He couldn't hit. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he did putt well, but that's not what I'm thinking of, like, lightning in a bottle. Like that, like Keegan Bradley does that and he gets himself into contention purely just because his putter's hot. Like, Jordan Spieth hasn't had a hot putter for a tournament in multiple years besides the President's Cup. Like, the President's Cup was awesome because he was making putts.
He made putts,
yeah,
like, to be fair,
they were birdie putts. At
Yeah.
Memorial, he was just draining par putts.
Correct.
Like,
well, yeah, because his approach play was very, very bad that week.
yeah.
But you're right, Bob. I mean, I kind of and let me just be because I'm sure we're gonna have some viewers that are like, it's very early into the season, and that's very, very true. Like that. I mean, again, as like Dan said, it wouldn't shock me if he played well this week or next week.
Correct. But
he's that good. But
I will also play devil's advocate there as well. Like, the season is going to go by very fast. It always does. Before you know it, it's going to be the Masters. And once the Masters is over, it already feels like it's in the second half of the season.
Yeah.
Which it kind of is, because after the Masters, it's a lot of majors jam-packed in a few months. Whereas we have 3 months leading up to the Masters. It's all preparation. And we always say we'd like to get a win before the Masters, but honestly, I'm just trying to get a win before the US Open. That's what I'm looking at. I'd like to get a win before the summer.
Every week that goes by is one less chance. He's got, I think, like 7 chances. And I mean, quite a few of these are going to be good fields. And no offense to Jordan Spieth, he still has not won at a good field since 2017.
Correct. And again, that is I don't think that that's as big a deal as people make it out to be. I mean, if everyone plays at Valero in 2021, I think he still probably wins. Like, he played very, very well that year.
Yeah, I mean, like the last time.
Like, that's just how it works, and that's why I will continue.
2021.
That's why I will continue to say that limited fields are easier events to win than big fields, weak fields. That probably didn't make sense, but I've said it in the podcast before. You know what I mean? But I'm looking at all this stuff going forward, and the thing that really is where I've made the shift from being really positive to not so positive is I just don't know what the map is. What's the blueprint for these next few weeks?
Yeah.
But then again, I really hope to find because this is one thing before we get into the waste management. I really hope Jordan Spieth, we see some killer instinct this year, because that's one thing that he hasn't had a very long time, and we saw that at Valero a bit, where he just put the foot down on
Chuck
Hoffman. That's something that I was thinking about this, and this was the main point I want to really bring across on this podcast is KH Lee steps on to the first tee at Ranch this year, tied for lead with Spieth. KH Lee isn't fearing Jordan Spieth like he is someone like Rahm or Rory or even JT, who's not playing very well. Like, he's not someone that scares the field right now, which in its own aspect is a disadvantage.
I think the way Spieth used to scare fields was making every putt, and he's just not doing that.
Yeah,
it's tough, to be fair.
But just the intimidation factor in general.
I think
he was a baller early on.
What do you see as intimidating though? Because when I think intimidating, I think guys that just hammer it like DJ, Northern Trust.
I don't think that. I think people that you're like, okay, this guy's gonna beat me if I don't play my absolute best.
Yeah, I think
this guy's gonna capitalize on me if I don't keep up.
I think it's shifted. It's not. Yeah. I used to think of DJs, Rory, but like Max Homa to me now is intimidating. Like, you stand on the first tee tied for the lead with Max Homa, you know that dude is gonna play. Even if it's not his,
it's all about capitalization.
Even if it's not his best stuff, he's gonna grind out 3-4 under, and you're gonna have to play depending on where it's at. And you're gonna have to play 4 or 5 under to beat him, right? And that's scary. When you're on there with Jordan Spieth, you're not thinking, you're not worried about that. You're just not. At least I wouldn't be. Well,
I think it's the names you're playing with too. Like,
yeah.
I mean, no offense, but like we go back to last year. Like, I don't think Spieth gets intimidated anymore.
No,
but like these guys, this isn't the same Jordan Spieth at the moment.
Correct.
Like, I think Mr. O'Hara in round 4 was probably a little intimidated.
That was a cool story. I didn't realize his story.
Yeah, but no, I mean, I don't know. Intimidation is tough to measure because like 2021 Morikawa Spieth at the Open.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Spieth intimidating Morikawa would have made the difference.
Yeah,
I think sometimes you just run into a guy that plays better than you. Spieth's had that happen like way too many times. There's been obviously times where Spieth doesn't capitalize. There's also been times where Spieth could easily be a 5-time, 6-time major champion. If the one guy in front of him does not have a career like week like Morikawa or Day, I mean, that's the thing with Spieth too. Like, when Spieth won his majors, he's kind of earned all 3. You can throw me DJ choking the 15 U.S. Open away, but Spieth played really good that week.
You really can't though. I mean, Spieth made a horrendous double bogey at 17. He birdied 18, and DJ made birdie on 17, right?
Yeah.
So like, I do not look at 2017 as a crowning. I mean, 2015 U.S. Open as a crowning by any means.
Spieth played great that week.
Because if that putt on 18 had happened in the third round, it never would have been talked about. Like, it was a 3-putt, and it was a fluke 3-putt, but like in the end, Spieth definitely played better than DJ that week. Like, there's no.
Yeah, I mean, just my last thought on that. I mean, Spieth won at 5 under. Like, okay, he made a double bogey. When you finish at 5 under through 4 days, you're going to make bogeys and maybe a double and still be able to win. But
what'd you say?
Floor is yours.
Well, I was gonna say we've been on this for 45 minutes. So
One more quick point though.
Yes, go ahead.
And it kind of ties in. It kind of just a segue to this week. And it's kind of been your whole theme of this, Bob, is like, I don't know what the blueprint is. And I think if you have a glass half full optimism approach to this, is that there's very rare, like the Spieth blueprint is just different than every other guy, pretty much. Like it'll materialize slowly, and it's gonna happen at some point this year, or else there's something quite wrong. But it'll come about, and you might not see it, but then it's here, and it's here to stay for a little bit. So, that'll be the glass half full approach. Optimism brought to you by Dan.
Thank you,
The
Dan.
official Optimum. I don't know. Anyway, waste management. I'm excited. I'm
as well.
I'll kick off real quick. I'll kick off with a hot take. Ooh. I really hope that there is not a hole-in-one on 16 this year.
Well, did you see the rules change?
About what? A hole-in-one on 16?
Yes.
What is it?
There's no more beer cans being sold in the stadium.
It's just cups? Or
just cups. I believe there's I think everyone has to sign a waiver before saying that. I mean, that won't hold people back from throwing things if it goes in, but if a hole-in-one is made, but like,
yeah,
the problem is you got
which is a boo moment for me, in my opinion. I think that I think that was one of the coolest moments on tour last year, and I get it. They're the old people, old golf style, like, and I understand that. Yeah. That's fine. I thought it was a really cool moment. If that happens on 17 at Sawgrass, no thanks for me. But like, just this one atmosphere, I kind of get it.
Yeah. No, I mean, I get it, but I've seen Sam Ryder's ace probably 4 or 5 times now, more than I want to.
I disagree. It gives me chills every time I watch.
Like
it.
I don't know. Somebody else hits ace, great, but somebody else had an ace that week, and we don't see that one.
Correct.
Well, yeah, because he's on a different tour now.
Oh,
that's why you don't see it.
Who was it?
Ortiz.
Oh, that's right.
One of Spieth's good friends.
Yes. I had him top 40 that week.
Congratulations.
I think he hit too.
Congrats.
So you guys have shared your thoughts on this week. I don't love this week. I don't hate it. I look forward more to next week than this week. I don't think Scottsdale's. I think it's an okay golf course. I disagree. I don't think there's that many good holes, in my opinion. I think the drivable 4 is awesome. I think 17 at Sawgrass, the par 3 16th is. I mean, it's cool because you have 40,000-50,000 people watching you hit the shot, but it's
a basic golf hole.
Yeah, and then there's a lot of holes that are just like bleh. Like, I look towards next week more. But
fair enough, but I'm on the other side of that. The Genesis never really gets my blood boiling, to be honest. It's a great golf course. I love the golf course. It's top 10 for me, for sure. I don't think it's top 5, to be honest. There are a lot more bleh holes at Riviera than a lot of people want to say.
We could go down this road next week.
We absolutely could. And I do think it's a great course, but then again, I just love the desert atmosphere, man. It's not even, to you. I agree. Like, there's nothing like watching people on Sunday having to hit shots from the desert. Like, that's just really cool for me. And it's just a really exciting event because it's always a good leaderboard here, man. There's always someone good coming down 18, even if the winner isn't a big name. Like this course produces really good leaderboards. And that's the one thing I give to Mr. Pines every year is Mr. Pines always gives really good leaderboards. I like tournaments that give good leaderboards.
Yeah. This
And
is
Seems like a fair
and the
argument.
closing stretch is just awesome. Not even 18. 18's pretty meh now that the water's not in play off the tee, but well, we say that, but Mr. Spieth
It's in
on
play.
the water. But 15, 16, 17 is one of the best 3-hole stretches, I think, in golf. 15 is a brilliant par 5. 16 is a great par 3, and 17 is a top 3 drivable par 4 on tour. I apologize. I need to charge my computer. I'll be right back.
Thank you for I agree. 17 the drivable par 4 is great. 16 overrated. 15 good. I mean, there's a lot of par 5s like 15 still.
The point about the desert, I
Yeah.
agree with a lot. It's cool. It's just a cool backdrop to everything. I do like 15. I think 16, 17. Like, I think there's just what's cool about the finish is that there's a lot of variability in scores. So when you've got leaders coming down there, you could bogey 15 because you hit it in the water, go 2-2, 16, 17, like, right, and go 2-2,
Yeah.
16, 17, and then get back in the lead or whatever. But no, I think this week, based on what the weather has said, I think this week should play to its potential as well. Like, I think it'll play the way the course plays when it's at its best, which is pretty firm, obviously pure. But firm, fast, you hit in the fairways, you're gonna have wedges that are gonna hop and then spin a little bit. They're not gonna, you're not gonna have 7-irons backing up like they were at Pebble. So that's exciting. Seeing 7-iron take a massive hop and roll out 20 feet or whatever it may be is you have to hit spots instead of just playing
there's
things like that.
There's also just a great Jesus, my computer is so hard.
You're good. Yeah, but I mean, you look at last year, Spieth putted so bad, but I enjoyed watching it last year with how firm it was. I think this year it's going to be the same, which will make it fun watch. And I mean, oddly enough, I don't think it's a good venue for Spieth. I don't know if there is a good venue for Spieth the way he's playing right now, but there'll be less wedges, more mid to long irons, which I think, I don't know. It's not going to be windy, so we'll really get a good gouge on, where the, as Dan likes to say, driving range shots are. But
well, I do want to say this, and there is something about the waste management that there's just really good vibes here. I mean, this is not a course that he's played unbelievably great in his course history, and it used to be an event that it was just kind of like all right, cool event, but it's not anything special. I mean, this is the place that, I mean, there was, and this is kind of dark, but like I being as diehard as a fan of mine and watching as much Spieth golf as I do, like I waited a very long time to get as excited about a round as I did for that 61. I mean, that 61 was the first time in a while that you kind of got to feel that, you know what I mean?
That rush, that drug.
And that's just something I'll never forget, because I say this all the time. A lot of people sort of picked up Spieth in 2017, 2018. Like I was there when he went through all of his highs, and I thought that was reality. And I really missed that. And to get that and to have that 61, it was the first really time. It was the first, on top of it, it was the first really good round I got to track. My page was blowing up. Like there's just such good vibes when you think of that round. I mean, it's what got his career back on track, at least for then. As we look to see if he can do that again sometime. But that was a slump that not many all-time greats have. That was a 3.5, 4 year. It was 1,000+ days in between wins. Before he won at Valero, like there's just really good vibes that I can take back. The feeling on Sunday morning, the feeling even on Saturday, because he put together 2 really nice rounds of what was it? You went 4 under, 4 under, right? And then
Yeah.
went 10 under to get to 18 under going into the final rounds. Which 18 under could win here some years. But yeah, it's just there's just really good vibes surrounding this golf course. Because that was such a magical day. I mean, it has to be take away all the winning rounds. It's probably the most memorable round of my Spieth fandom.
I think of a
So,
Sunday in April in 2018. That was quite fun. But
yeah, but that didn't have the same feel because it was
Had the
devastating
sour
at the end.
that's I mean true, but I mean like I don't know if that thrill of that was fun. But yeah, I mean this course fits his career like really well because he's got 3 top 10s and then 3 T60s or worse. And that's Jordan Spieth, hit or miss, really good, really bad. Just to find how 2023's kind of started. You got round 1 at Sony, you got round 2 at Sony. I think I guess what's kind of alarming is the 3 top 10s. He, ironed it and wedged it really well all 3 of those weeks. And I don't know if he's capable of that right now. I think we all agree he can play well this week. But what is well in our, is a T30 good? Is that where the expectation is? Because I don't think,
A T30 will never be good in my books.
Yeah, that's
No.
very fair.
I think
There are very few places where a T30 I can be honestly, the only time I've ever really been happy with like a T30 a top 30 is probably the US Open at Torrey. That's what he finished, like T20.
it was T19.
T19, yeah.
Like that was like I'm not one who likes to settle for mediocrity. Like that was the one time where I was like, okay, that's a good step.
Well, Andy was like 4 over through 7 or something brutal.
Yeah,
like,
the first round was
up to
awful.
yeah. So, but look,
yeah,
Phoenix, good vibes here, not so good vibes here. I am excited. I mean, everybody's here. First time we've seen Rory, Rahm, Scotty. Like Scotty Scheffler is flying under the radar, and rightfully so. As a defending he won 4 times last year, including at this place, and
that's not surprising.
No, I know that's what I'm saying. Like that's how good Rory and Rahm have been, and it's gonna be fun to see them play in the same tournament with a bunch of other guys. I do think it's made like the betting pretty fun this week because there's some decent value on certain people just given the
I'm always
and stuff. So this is a good week. I'm excited.
I thrive last year in the contest in big fielded weeks just because I think they're easier to bet. They're just there's more value on guys to pick and choose course history. Like most weeks, like it's very tough to put harder and to go get that points on someone like Mr. Sig. That's a tough feeling. But yeah. So
no, I'd agree. And one point on Jordan, you said like, what's a good week this week? I don't think I have I think to me it's still like a top 15, but I don't think I don't like where he finishes doesn't matter. I just want to see some statistical like if he doesn't putt good this week, obviously that's not a good thing given how poorly he's putted last week, like the past year. But just to see some ball striking numbers that are like, oh, he's hitting good shots that could translate to other places would make me feel better, or at least like, oh, here's a little bit of a blueprint beginning to form.
I'd like to see
what your
green
thoughts
across
are.
the board would be nice.
Yeah, no, that would be lovely. I would love to see green across the board.
He did that at Century, but I mean, they weren't very high green. But I think I hate to say this, but playing with Finau and Schauffele, no offense to both of them, great golfers. I'm happy he's not with Rory or Rahm, who are making golf look extremely easy right now, while Jordan Spieth makes golf look extremely hard. And granted, I mean, Finau and Xander, I mean, probably they're both top 10 in the world. But I mean, Rahm and Rory are on a completely other level than the other
different planet.
Everyone else.
Yes, they are. Should we get into it? Bets?
Yeah.
Let's talk about just like the course for a second. I have my models getting pulled up here before we get into
There we
the
go. Yes, sorry, I did not mean to skip over Mr. Model.
Mr. Last
Yes.
Place models. Feed us.
Okay.
Let's not act like the models have been the reason for that. It's more my selections so far.
Yes.
The models have not been
You
wrong.
are
The
pulling off.
stats, the wedges last week were absolutely
Yes,
the
no,
most.
100%.
Yes, correct.
Jack Nicklaus could have told us that.
True, very true, very
It's
true.
ridiculous.
But I would like
Mr.
to. I would like
Nicklaus in
to.
old school golf.
I'd like to
Anyway.
pick your brains on what you guys think is the most important stat of the week. As I always love to bring this up because it's always fun to dive into.
I'm fairly confident strokes gained approach is the out of the categories, that's the one, and it typically is very high, but it matters quite a bit this week. The guys who win flush their irons, which but like this week in particular.
Yeah.
You want
So
my bet or my pick
yes, I would
here?
like to know your bet. There's actually a tie. There's two at the top. Two stats at the top.
Just off the tee. You got to drive it really well.
Yeah, well, you guys hit the button. Both strokes gained approach and strokes gained off the tee in general are or actually it's not strokes gained off the tee. It's strokes gained approach and good drive percentage are the two stats that are most important this week. So it's not even necessarily distance.
What defines good drive percentage?
I think distance is sort of out of the equation.
It's like
for the
distance
most.
plus fairway, I think.
I think strokes gained off the tee takes into like strokes gained is a really weird metric, but just wanted to say what the models have shown us.
Thank you, Mr. Models. Thank you.
Of course. And
Anything
but yeah,
else?
there's no like approach shots from 200 plus yards this week. It's strictly just this is a course where there's some wedges, there's some long irons, and there's a lot of like 170, 165 shots.
I was gonna say, I think there's good balance.
Correct.
Like you have to use your whole bag this week, which is
Absolutely.
fun, which makes this course
This is
like,
great.
That's what you want at
yeah,
golf
and
courses.
To run through the comp courses, which is another thing I'd love to talk about. Do you guys have any idea what the number one comp course is?
I was gonna say PGA West.
Well, a lot of the comp courses are TPCs, but the number one is TPC Summerlin. It's the number one comp course.
That makes sense. Shriners.
But yeah. So a lot of the other TPCs are very similar. Sawgrass, Highlands, Twin Cities, and TPC Boston, along with the Summit Club as some of the comp courses this week. So you look at those as we do every week. We look at those courses and how Spieth's performed there. He has played Shriners. He hasn't played Shriners very often. I think he has a miscut there.
Yeah.
A few made
He
cuts.
went in like 2019 and just played terribly.
Yeah. And the Summit Club, which was the CJ Cup. I can't even remember how that golf course even looks. Oh, that was the one in the desert, right?
Dude, Cantlay won there.
It was in the desert, right?
Yep.
Didn't Rory win there?
The Summit. Oh, wait, the Summit Club?
Yeah, I think Rory won there. Cantlay won
apologies.
the Zozo at the whatever it was.
Yeah, where'd he win that?
I forget.
That was at the one that Tiger played a lot, Morikawa played a lot.
Sherwood?
Yes. Apologies.
Thank you for that. But then you look at the other comp courses, Sawgrass, that's a no thanks. Twin Cities never played, and then Boston, River Highlands. He's had a few top 10s at TPC Boston. He's won at TPC River Highlands, but there's really no course history at River Highlands besides that win. So yeah, we're thank you, Mr. Models, for that contribution. As always, we can get into the bets. As I said, I have a guaranteed winner this week, number 2. We're 100% on Blute guaranteed winners, so very excited. If we want to run through our outrights first, and then we can get into our other picks, I think that's a good pick to win. Dan, get started.
I will defer to Mr. Leader, actually.
That's fine. I have two outrights. I believe the boys know probably one of them who I've been preaching this week.
Well, is the one that you said in the chat was someone that no one's mentioned yet? Is that not right?
No, that's my placement play.
Okay, very excited for that one. But
I'm rolling with only 3 bets this week, 2 outrights. They both my outrights are they're right below the Rory Rom range. I am rolling with JT, and this man is on Bob's card, Patrick Cantlay. I
like very good numbers.
Surprised you didn't go with Mr. Finau.
A good friend of ours is going Mr. Finau. Mr. Finau's missed the cut 5 of 7 times at TPC Scottsdale. That's pretty telling for me personally, but JT is not missed 5 of 7 cuts at TPC.
He's got a great record here.
He does.
He's really good.
He's in a slump though.
He's
promise you that's a loser.
But a slump for JT, yes. A slump for a good player, no. I mean, he had a 5th at the Hero. He had a T25 at the Farmers. Like, these are not bad numbers. He played bad at Century, I'll give you that. But a T25 at Farmers. And, going into the PGA, he had some, results. He had a T35 at the Heritage, a T5 at the Ranch.
But let's not forget that Justin Thomas should have finished like T8 at the PGA.
That's very fair, but at the same time, let's not.
He played well that week, though.
Yeah, I mean, Justin Thomas is 21 to 1.
Correct. That's a big number. That's a big number.
Yeah. Same with Cantlay, right?
Cantlay's also 21 to 1. Yeah.
That's fitting though. He hasn't. I think 21 is the correct line on Cantlay this week.
I love it. I mean,
but I still love it.
I'm not sure it is, to be honest. I think it should be, I don't know, lower. 16? Yeah.
The only really incorrect line the 2 incorrect lines that stood out to me are Homa's and Scheffler's. Scheffler is like 14 to 1. No. And Homa is way too high. Homa's like,
he's 21.
Yeah, that's.
I don't know though.
That's an overreaction, in my opinion. I think he's right around the 30. I think he's right around the Tom Kim range, in my opinion.
What does Homa need to do to be in that 21 range for you? Because he's playing better than JT right now.
I just don't. That's a good question. I don't really know what he needs to do. I just think that coming off a win, it just screams overreaction to me. Considering he was 25 to 1 at the he was 25 to 1 when he won at blanking at Torrey in a not so great field. And he wins, and all of a sudden he's in a loaded field and he's almost 20 to 1. It seems like an overreaction to me. When that win doesn't change how I view him in terms of how he's playing. Like I still would have picked him this week. Like I still think he was playing well. I think if he had finished T2 there, he'd be 28 to 1. That's my opinion.
Well, and to be fair, like I think a lot of people know Max Homa now.
Yeah,
and the books don't want to get burned on a Homa 30 to 1.
Fair enough.
You know what I'm saying?
Because odds are not necessarily always about what's correct. A lot of it's where the money is. So yeah, for sure, you're right about that. But I'd love to hear your other.
Patrick Cantlay, another guy that I think you like this week. I mean,
I forgot you said that. Yeah,
Cantlay, I mean, good form coming in, second here last year. I don't have, the amazing models that, Bob is using, but I have some stats on Data Golf and a couple other websites that I do use. And yeah, I like riding either of those Americans to win this week. I really love JT though. I just think JT is ready to shut the haters, which is the Go Get That podcast up. So I have 25.
Now, Mr. Carp, this is the big question of the day. Is a JT win worth the lead you would take in the standings this week?
I think I'll say yes.
Oh, come
It is.
on.
And
I
I
could
think
put $100 on JT and it would not be worth playing
I think
anywhere.
a big reason or a big part of that is we have a gambling chat outside of the podcast, and no one else really was talking about him besides our good friend Ryan. I just feel he's flying under the radar. He
Yeah.
could continue to hit it all over the place and miss the
So
cut.
you
but
wanted to hit purely as just like a I told you so moment. Which is fair.
No, I think
yeah, I mean, I
there's
think
fair.
any good
It's fair.
bettor wants to show that they
That's
can hit.
absolutely fair. Absolutely
there's
fair.
there's a lot of value there though, given course history, and like T25 at the Farmers is not that bad. I think JT could play really well this week. I'm not sure he's in the winning form yet, but he knows how to win. So we'll see. I don't have JT on my card, but I don't hate the play for sure.
Thanks, Dan. I appreciate
Who's
it.
your outright, Dan?
My outright, so I have one, and then I have like a pseudo outright.
Okay, fair. Do you have
I
4
don't- I
plays
don't-
this week?
I have 5 plays this week
Ooh.
actually, but I don't know who's gonna win. I really don't. So I'm just putting 5 on Hideki to win. Great course history. He played pretty well at the Farmers. He putted really well, which is good, but it's also a little bit concerning because maybe he won't putt as well this week. But he's at 33. 33 to 1s are still out there on Hideki. He was at 40 to 1 earlier this week. That's gone all the way down to 22 in some places. So he's kind of been all over the board. Books don't really know what to do with him, which is fair,
Makes
given
sense,
his
yeah. It's a
kind
little
of
bit of a weird spot for him.
injury. But I mean, he knows how to win here. He's done it twice, so why not? I just put 5 on that. And then I have this is my pseudo outright. I have Cantlay to win. But this is without including Rahm, Rory, Scotty, or Xander.
Huh.
So if you take those 4 guys out of the tournament,
What was the bet?
Cantlay to win without Rahm, Rory, Scotty, or Xander. So
What are the
basically,
odds on that? He was
it's-
21.
he's 12 in this. So it's basically like take out the 4 best players in the odds and
See, I'm trying to
12
think
to
if
1.
that's worth it. Like I don't know. Like how much
no, I don't know. I
Would
mean,
I value-
it's a DraftKings thing. He was 18 to 1 on DraftKings, so 12 to 1 without those 4 guys. I mean, I don't know. Who knows?
No,
I think
if
he could win.
18 to 1 to 12 to 1, that makes sense.
Yeah.
21 to 1 to 12 to 1. That's an interesting debate. I'm not saying you're wrong. It's interesting to see like how much you'd value those top 4 players in the field.
It's a lot
Like,
of beef in the top 4.
Right. I guess the other thing is like if he finishes T3 and it's behind 2 random guys, then he doesn't win, and it's the same. So I might you bring up a good point, Bob. I might just strike on the 21 to 2100 that's on FanDuel.
Dan, I think
might
you go
make
with
more
your gut.
sense.
I think you
Yeah,
go
I
with
mean,
your
I'm
gut.
riding
because
Cantlay.
because
and
he's
Bob's
riding Cantlay. So
outside of him.
if you bet Cantlay and he wins, you're gaining no ground on Jordan. I'd go for the hammer shot and just like try and sneak out a T2, have Jordan be the big loser and just walk away away,
And I like Xander this week as well because I think he's also been. I mean, he's usually under the radar, but he's played pretty good golf here as well. So
Yeah.
I think they could be, there. And if Cantlay wins, then I'm at least in on it a little bit. So,
Yeah.
I like that as
my
my other pseudo outright.
Yeah, well, I mean, my back's against the wall this week. I've been catching a lot of strays, even from my own mother. My own mother texted me about my horrible picks.
She's losing money
recently.
because of you.
Of course.
That's
My
not
mom
good.
is, of course, a massive puts all of her life savings on my go get that picks every week. So unfortunately, the family is in deep trouble.
It's your college fund.
Correct. But I have one outright this week, 4 plays. It was going to be 3. I'm going to try and keep them to 3 in the next few weeks, but I had to keep one of these plays on. But I'm going to go with Mr. Thigala. I the past 2 weeks, I've gone with lower numbers, more money. I'm going with a very large chunk on one play this week, so I'm keeping the other one small. I'm putting 10 on Mr. Thigala, 50-1 to win 500. I mean, that's a good number on Thigala, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So, he's gonna break through eventually. I'm a huge fan of his, so hopefully he breaks through when I'm on him. But yeah, that's my right. There's really no explanation there.
He plays well at the TPCs. His other chance to win was at Mr. River Highlands. So
yep, and he almost won here last year. So
The
Yeah.
TPC.
he's
yeah,
he's at a rough close though in his 2 tournaments. He's kind of thrown it away. I know he kind of got screwed at Scottsdale last year.
yeah, that was brutal.
But still, I mean, he's gonna need to see one go through the hoop, but he will. He's a really good golfer. So I have more of an explanation for my other picks, but we can get into those. Jordan, if you'd like to get into your placement.
So I got the majority of my change or chunk of coin or whatever you want to call it.
You're going with the Bob strategy.
On a guy that we've been talking about quite a bit on this podcast. That's Max Homa. He's I hear you, Bob, saying he shouldn't be in that 21 tier. And it's funny too, because we were talking at like bold predictions to begin the year, but all the way back a month ago. And I was like, maybe Max Homa still isn't that guy. Because I mean, he really came on last year, a little bit of 2021 too, when he won at Riv. But that is clearly not the case. Max Homa
Well, Max Homa has more wins in the last year and a half than Spieth does in like 6 years.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking maybe he falls, not falls apart, but like doesn't keep up this streak. But I mean, that's
crazy to think about, though.
Clearly not happening. I mean, a win, a T3 at Century. I have him at plus money to top 20. He's got 3 straight top 4. If we want to go all the way back, in his last 6 events, he's finished outside the top 20 once. So, I mean, he's just got a complete game. He does everything well. The course history here isn't the best, but I mean,
I was just about to ask what it is.
It's a T6, T26, T14, T42. So not the end of the world, but he doesn't dominate this place. But he didn't really start dominating golf until about a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
So he's a completely new golfer. Plus money. I kind of struggle to figure out what I wanted to do. But at the end of the day, why don't you just go with, one of the most consistent guys on tour right now in Max Homa, and that's what I went with.
Yep. No, I think that's a good play. I'm kind of following the same logic with a Tom Kim top 20 play. This dude is just cooking right now. He's been in Scottsdale playing with Rahm apparently, per Elise. So it's at plus money, like plus 150 is what I got it at. Tom Kim.
Love it.
The top 20, and he's played well at Summerlin. Obviously, he won there. He plays well everywhere. I mean, might as well get a top 20 on him. I've got about, I'm not sure exactly what my numbers are, but it'll be something to get about 90 to 100 points back, so could cover for the week. And then this is where my placements get interesting. I have, as of now, I have 15 points on somebody to top 40 at 6-1, which for a top 40 is quite a long shot.
I love this.
Who is this?
Is Richie Warinsky. And this is a total shot in the dark.
Is there anything to back this up?
There is a T22 here last year and a T20 at Pebble, in which he gained strokes on approach.
You know what?
Off the tee.
That's good enough for me, honestly.
And
yeah, it's 6-1.
At 6-1, I'm putting 15 on it. So if it doesn't cash, it's fine. But top
that covers
40,
the week too if it wins, right?
And yeah, if it wins, he gets 105. So that's 5 extra points in my account, I suppose. And then this one, I was kind of deciding. There's a lot of guys I really like, so I guess I can I love Morikawa. I thought Jason Day could have a really good week. Corey Connors, was looking at Ryan Moore. Really like Johnny Vegas as well for the top 40. And he's at plus money. So the only concern would be about his shoulder. But then I decided on, mostly just because of the discrepancy between books. At most books, he's about plus 150 to plus 175 to top 40. Got him here at 280 on FanDuel. Francesco Molinari.
Oh,
That's a name that kind of in that
He is
Rose, Gary
really
Woodland
flawed.
category of
I
fell
wouldn't
off
even
a
say
cliff
that.
after
I wouldn't
29.
even say that. Mr. Molinari, I have not heard that name in months.
Exactly.
But I
Until
mean,
he
I wouldn't even put him in the Woodland and Rose category.
T5'd 3 weeks
Yeah.
ago
Yeah.
overseas. He did have a brutal miscut the week after. So we're not really sure where it's gonna go. But top 40, and considering the odds at other books, like you get an extra 100. I don't know what they call them, but he's plus 100 more than he's at any other book. So I was stunned when I saw the number. And he's made the cut 3 times he's played here. And I think he's got like T20, like he's top 40 twice, I think, and the other one's like a T44. That might be wrong, but he's right around that T40 range. So I just thought, hey, good value. He showed me something 2 weeks ago. Maybe Molinari is starting to put it together again a little bit, and he doesn't have to have a great week. Just gotta, be about 9 under, maybe 8 under. May not even be that high, but good
Yeah,
value.
I was about to say.
Hopefully
You have-
Francisco can figure it out a little bit.
It's the top 40, right?
That is a top 40.
Yeah, I
was
mean,
stunned
top
when I
40
saw
was
it.
5 under last year. So
I was stunned when I saw it, the plus 280 number, because he's like 150 at Barstool and 170 at DraftKings, 280 on FanDuel. I was like, that. So either FanDuel knows what's up and the other two don't, or FanDuel's a little behind the ball. So
I mean, well, Barstool doesn't really know golf, so
no,
I should have said that.
but I think their books are based on. It's not what Riggs thinks about the week. They do have Kevin Kisner a lot higher in the top 40 thing than they do at most other books. Not a lot, but
It
it's
tells
like...
me all I need to know. Bob, did you consider Kiz this week?
Is this a Kiz course?
I am a sucker for Kevin Kisner. I was very close to justifying him for this week because I recently have not been able to justify him at all. But he had a sneaky good week after a very rough first round, last week. That was very nice to see as we head into all signs point towards just the stars aligning in Austin for a final match play victory for Kisner. I cannot wait to put. I think we need to give us 500 points for that event because I will put 100 on him to get out of his group, 100 on him to win the event. I mean, I am so looking forward to betting Kisner with every bet I can, but I was not able to justify him quite this week, even though it is a short hitters ballpark for sure. Short hitters can definitely compete here, but this was tough to narrow down my card. I won't lie.
There's a lot of good plays
There's a lot of good plays this week. But I'm going to start off with a $5 bet on 80 to 1 on my go-to first round leader, KH Lee, which I'm going to do throughout the year until he hits. He's hit like 5 first round leaders in the last 3 years, which if you do the math, that's 1 out of every 15. And the odds price him at 60 to 80 to 1 every tournament. When math-wise, he should be 15 to 1. I mean, he never could be 15 to 1, but math-wise, that's what it would say. 5 to win 400. I mean, that's no brainer. Like, I don't know how you don't put money on them there. I said until he lost me 2 in a row, I'd go back to the Montgomery train. And closing line value did it very well. He's down to like 180 on some books. I got him plus 300 for a top 20. Just $20 bet. Leaves me 65 for my whale guaranteed winner. And that is a player who has very good form coming in. Has played very well recently. Fits all the course models. I really can't say enough about this play. It's my favorite play of the year so far. And that's Keegan Bradley, the top 40. I love to go to my plus money top 40 plays throughout last year. And that's what I've done this week. Plus 110. the odds are all over the place with him. You can get him plus 110, you can get him minus 125 some places. But Keegan Bradley will top 40 this week. It's a guarantee. I'm gonna bring up his course history just because I'm not exactly sure what it is.
That's spooky.
But now I'm thinking of it. He's fit everything besides the course history because I didn't even look at his course history. But Data
For a
Golf
top
gives
40,
him,
it's pretty good.
Data Golf gives him a
that's
really good chance. Let's go with all right. So his last 5 have been.
He's only 2 for 5, but he's got back-to-back top 30s. So
T26.
I will say
T22.
he never putts well here, unfortunately for you.
T49.
Since they redesigned the course.
T67.
They redesigned it and he
T43.
lost the putter.
I mean, he's made the cut. Oh, that's why I picked him. I did take into account course history. So he's one of the only players in the field who's never missed a cut here. That's why I put it into.
He's missed
So
2.
He's missed 2 cuts here.
Has he?
Yes.
So
There were
one of
many
the-
moons ago, to be fair.
2017. Yeah, he hasn't missed it in the
Looks
last
like
5
one of
years.
the things I read up on was incorrect.
Call them out. Was it Golf Monthly, by the way?
That's all right.
I don't
regardless of
remember,
what it's
but
called.
I mean,
They know who they
he's
are.
made all the cuts in the last 5 years, so it doesn't change the fact that it's absolutely hitting. It's a guarantee, blue guarantee. Put the stamp of approval down. I feel good about this.
It would be awesome. It would be awesome to come on the Sunday night recap and just talk about the Keegan Bradley miscut that occurred.
Well,
In a
I was
brutal double
I
bogey
was
fashion
really
on
confident
Friday
in the I
afternoon.
was really confident in the Ben Griffin top 40 last week.
Yeah,
but
I
that
know
was
you
not a
were.
guaranteed winner. That was not a guaranteed winner.
Well, he made a
It's-
10 on 18.
That was a little
kinda screwed
unfortunate.
you.
To say the
Yeah,
least.
that was not pretty. But yeah, so that's all the bets. We'll see how they shake out this week. I feel good. There's good value if you're looking for other things out there. And I, listed a couple names, but like Corey Connors, I think we all think could have a pretty good week. So if you're interested in top 20 or something like that, could be another good play.
I do like Corey Connors a lot. And just to say, I went with the value play this week, but Tom Kim is my pick to win this week. I do believe he will win.
He fits
I
a
wanted to
lot
take
of
him. I
stuff.
want to put so much on Bradley that I need to pick a little bit of a higher bet.
Yeah.
So
There's so many
Fine.
big names in the field. You can really make a case for so many dudes. So
you absolutely can.
Right. Which I think why is looking at some top 40 stuff, I think is good this week. If you just get on Data Golf and check some like ball striking numbers, course history stuff, like you can find some good value on people in the top 40's names. Cause like not all the top 40 guys aren't making the top 40, that's just not how it works. So there's always a Richie Wierenski in the mix come Sunday afternoon. So we'll can't wait for him to be leading on 17T. But that would be epic. Richie Wierenski takes the Phoenix Open. I mean, come on.
That'd be sick.
Come on. I saw him earlier this week. He was like 16-1 for a top 20. I was like, jeez, that's bad. Like that's what the Ricky Barneses who get the sponsors exemptions, I don't know.
I was looking at
Before
a
we-
couple of those bets, those long top 20s.
Yeah.
Yeah. Before we go, because this has been a long podcast, but what are our thoughts on Mr. Flower this week?
Well, he's not featured, so
That's disappointing.
you can honestly make a case that Ricky Fowler is playing better golf than Jordan Spieth right now.
Oh,
You
yeah.
can make that case. I mean,
No, it's a good case too.
That's an interesting case.
He had like Spieth's last best finish was what, Mr. Ranch?
yeah.
which
Ricky's
obviously
got
is
a
a
T2
great-
at Zozo, a T11 at the Farmers. Like a case can be made.
Yeah. Oh, very much so. I don't know. I feel better about Mr. Fowler this week than I do Mr. Spieth.
I'd probably agree with that. Yeah.
I'm gonna go with no, but
Ooh, okay. Alrighty.
We'll
the top
see.
40, I think yes. I think Mr. Flower top 40 this week, but I don't know if I can
Do
go
you
as
think
far
Mr.
as
Do you think
saying-
Mr. Spieth tops 40 this week?
I think he could for sure. Yeah,
Okay,
Oh,
but-
it's a yes or a no, though. It's a yes or a
Yes
no.
or
Bob.
he could absolutely.
No, it's a yes or a
could,
no.
Is Fowler top 40 this week?
Yes.
Okay.
Where's
is
Mr. Spieth?
The fact that you have to think about it tells you Fowler's playing better.
I'm gonna go with yes, but Flower has negative chance of winning this week. I'll put it there.
That's fine.
Spieth has a chance of winning.
I
Not a high one, but
Fowler, I think Fowler will be there. Like I think Ricky.
no, but
Mania
Flower
will
would
be,
Flower
like,
would collapse in even bigger fashion than Spieth on the weekend.
we shall see.
We shall see. But we've gone on way too long. We've kept
Yeah,
you
we've
for
been
very
spitting for
long.
a
We had
while.
to double up, but appreciate you guys listening, staying with us. If you're still here, I assume all of you guys shut it off now before the picks because you don't want to influence whatever bets you're gonna make.
we are losing you money.
We're losing, but it will be glorious when we're back into the green. But that day is not today. So thank you for listening. Any last thoughts?
Go Eagles. Good call.
No thanks. Go
nobody. Go nobody.
go Chiefs.
Yeah.
Go Chiefs.
Go refs. Go refs. That's
Let's
what I
go
want
Mahomes.
to see.
Let's
I
go
want to see a
Mahomes.
ref show on Sunday.
Let's go
Oh
Mahomes.
man, that'd be fun. Take
All
care.
right.
That'd be awesome.
Peace, fellas.
Peace.